The practice of glazing meats in demi-glace or reduced sauces has been part of French fine dining for centuries. It intensifies savouriness and adds a shiny gloss. The only catch, you need demi-glace, which takes a while to make. For the home kitchen, the closest thing to a demi in a bottle is oyster sauce, and today we'll use it to take our steak to the next level. So what is in store-bought oyster sauce? Sugar, which will help us with caramelization. Oyster extract and/or equivalent, which would give us intense umami, and salt. In total, we're aiming for 1.2% salt of the weight of the steak. Half of that will come from the oyster sauce, giving us a 0.6% leeway to either dry brine or serve the steak with salt on the side. To help us glaze evenly, we're going to thin our oyster sauce slightly with a bit of dark soy sauce, which has very similar ingredients to our oyster sauce. It will bring its own umami, sugar, and color. Medium-high heat, we only need the pan to be really hot once, mostly to prevent excessive sticking. Thin layer of high smoke point neutral oil. The thinner the layer, the less splashing you'll likely get. Steak goes into sear, and this is the only time it will smoke, and sadly the only Maillard reaction we'll get. But we don't need it. We have the complex flavors from our oyster glaze. After just a minute, return, sear the other side briefly. Now the fun part begins. We lower the heat to medium-low, and we start brushing our concentrated umami, color, and caramel. Very thin layer. And that's another reason why we allocated only half of the salt to the oyster sauce. With the limited cooking time, there's only so much oyster sauce one could add to the surface of the steak. Shockingly pale looking side, we glaze. No more than 10 seconds, just for the sugar to do its magic. We flip it again. And with the low heat, we gradually take it to the desired temperature, giving you very even doneness without the smoke or the stress. Pale side suddenly not so pale, huh? Start probing. And because we're doing it at such low heat, we have to factor in the carryover cooking will be slightly less. We can afford to take this closer to 50 degrees Celsius for it to become medium rare at 54 degrees. Quickly sear the sides to render some of the excess fat, make them a tiny bit crispy. Now, you can just rest and carve, but if you want to go the extra mile, steak comes out to rest only briefly because of the low heat, and now we crank up the heat to start caramelizing our sugar. Give it a tiny bit of a stir just to make sure it doesn't burn excessively. Once it's smoking, one final glaze with caramel. Which is the pale side now, huh? Stove off again. You can carve and plate. Beautiful. No smoke, minimum effort, perfect end-to-end doneness, and as much umami as one could wish for in a piece of steak. And still room for salt.